Hello and welcome to episode 2, understanding your Gundog expectations versus reality in training. So what does that mean? Well, first, before I get into that, I just want to say I am sorry on the slow second episode. Recently I lost a dog of a lifetime, unfortunately due to IBD, irritable bowel disease. The battle got a little bit too much for him. He lost a lot of weight. Even on the medication, he was really struggling, basically processing anything, eating anything without having a flare-up. He lost so much weight, it got to the point where, for me, the reality was there was no quality of life, and even at such a young dog's age, I had to let Barry go. And obviously it's the first time I spoke about it publicly, like this. He was a dog of a lifetime, and this is why I'm doing this episode as well, because he was challenging. He even tested my career to the point where I nearly gave up as a trainer because he was that challenging. I actually doubted myself because he was so hard, and that's why I said expectations versus reality, and understanding your Gundog means so much to me, and this is a very important episode. Obviously there will be training stuff coming, but I want you to there will be a few conversations first to have, so before you go into the training that you feel prepared, you feel ready, you understand the dog that's in front of you before you even start, and how I train and everything like that. Anyway, back to Barry. So we come to decision last week to let him go. He's having a lovely send-off tomorrow on the shoot. We are going to scatter his ashes on the first drive. Where we're going to walk along like we are beating, and I'm going to scatter him, which will be lovely, and he'll be free with the pheasants, where he'll be very happy. I feel all right. I've had a hard week, but I feel all right, and the reason why I feel all right, because he's out of that pain, and also all I do is remember the amazing journey that dog gave me, and it was one hell of a journey, let me tell you. He was challenging, he was difficult, he was a hard hunting machine, he was independent, and the average ways of training stuff were just not for Barry, didn't suit him, wasn't the way he ticked. He challenged me to all extremes, to the point, like I said, I nearly gave up my career because of this dog. I doubted myself that much, but through hard work and reality of what was the dog in front of me, not what my expectations of him were, was a different ball game. And also understanding him, really listening to him, reading him, you know, everything, even his lineage, you know, understanding everything about that dog to get him where he got to. And he got to an incredible beating dog, a dog that I could just rely on. We knew what each other were thinking. I didn't need to ask much of him, to the point we were so in sync. He was like my right hand man. Out of all my dogs, he was the one where I was just never worried about him. We knew what we were saying to each other without even having to say a word. But it got there. That's because of the reality and being open to what he needed to learn. And that's what this conversation is about today. Understanding your dog, for one, and two, your expectations versus the reality of them expectations. So, okay, you have a Gundog, or you've got a Gundog, and you want to do, let's say, because this YouTube channel is about Gundog training, you want to do, let's say, Gundog training. First, you have to know your lane, what you want to do. Now, if you're a pet owner, you might want to do a bit of everything, but it is nice to know a lane. So what I mean by a lane is, okay, so you've got a beating dog. That is a dog that essentially hunts up the game to be flushed over. So flushing means pushing the birds up into the air so they fly over the guns to be shot. Then you have your rough shooting dogs, so they also beat, but then they also retrieve at the same time. So they'll flush it up, they'll stop the shot, and someone might send them for the bird they've shot, you know, like similar to trials a little bit. Then you have your picking up dogs, so they're the ones that are behind the guns, and they are the ones that sweep birds. What I mean by sweep is, if after a drive, if it's a driven shoot, so driven shoot is where game is pushed over, why guns are around the drive, and the drive is the beat, where the dogs work through different covers to push the birds over. Then picking up dogs, what I mean by sweeping is like after the drive is finished, they go and sweep all the birds up that have been shot, unless there's a runner, obviously. And again, it depends on the shoot. Every shoot does things very differently. it's a runner. So a runner is a bird that's not been shot straight dead, and it's a runner, so they usually get up and they keep going. We need to get the dog to get that as quick as possible to dispatch because of welfare reasons, and it has to be humanely killed, so it has to be got to. Then you have your peg dogs. Peg dogs are with the guns. They were actually originally the picking up dog till it changed over the years and people wanted to have picking up dogs as well as the guns, because not every guns have a dog, but originally it was the guns actually who did all the picking up as well as the beaters and stuff. But you still have your peg dogs, so they're usually with the guns. They sit on the peg of the gun. There's the so it's on the side of the gun. They might have a group, they might have one, they might have two, but that's a different criteria to the picking up dog. Totally different. So that's what I mean by understanding your lane or what you want. Now, if you're a pet owner, you might want to say, oh, I'd like to train for that, but I don't particularly want to go on a shoot, or I never want to go on a shoot. So you might say, let's say, a retriever, or I would like to just do the retriever. I even have people who have not retrieving breeds as such, like to do the retriever side. It's whatever your lane is really. Or some people like to just learn hunting if they have hunting breeds, so they can go out and do fine things with their dogs. Not game, but working. So find your lane first, okay? When it comes to these gun dogs though, this is where now expectations and reality starts to kick in. So you want to take these journeys with your dog. Now, these are bred working dogs, so you need to look at the lines of your dogs. Is it a working line or is it show line? Because a working line Labrador is going to be a lot different ball game to a show line. Okay, they are more drivey, they are more driven, they are harder to work. They're not harder to train as such, but they are more go-y than, let's say, the show lines nowadays. Now, I'm not saying the show lines can't, because some of them can. Okay. Oh, again, I forgot about wildfowling. I do apologise to the wildfowling community. So wildfowling is, a lot of the time they sit around in there and in their hides and stuff, and they wait. It's the wild, basically like wild game, basically wildfowling. So you'd be sat, so geese, ducks, all variety of other birds, and they sit and they wait for the wild birds to kind of, want to say it right. I've got a few friends who do it, so they might sit on the banks of rivers, ponds, even sea, and they wait, like, so let's say the duck's coming in, and so the dog has different criteria there where it has to be not always the steadiest, because at the end of the day, if they've shot in the air, you want that dog to catch it, especially if it's at night. So it's a very different criteria, like I said, but this is nothing to do with, obviously, if you are just wanting to do the gun dog training as such. But for those who, like I said, again, know your lane. So the reality is you've got this gun dog, whether it's from a puppy or you've got a rescue on. You have to be honest with yourself. That's the first thing, okay? What can you commit to in training? Because people need to understand, we don't do one session in an hour and then I can take my dog on a shoot. That is not the reality, okay? For us who are trainers, don't get me wrong, we train more than the average person. It's our job. They are our shop window. They are our job. And also we have a different criteria of what we're looking for. So example, I've got young Siddy who'd like to eventually trial. You know, the training is full on. So you have to put this into perspective. Then you also have to ask yourself what breed of dog you've got, okay? There are going to be some that are, not even if they are, not even just down to lines, this one, it's, you know, you've got your HPRs and your pointer setters, they're really, really high prey drive, you know, and you've got to ask yourself, you've got to put the time in with this dog if you want to do the training, let's say, or even as a pet dog, you have to acknowledge that dog for what it's bred for. It's so important, because if you don't, you understand it. So many people fight these breeds and what they're bred to do, or won't acknowledge it. Well, I'm sorry, that's not fair on that dog. I acknowledge every dog that walks in my field, every dog that it's bred to be, whatever its history is, its lineage, because then I understand the dog in front of me. Obviously, don't get me wrong, other factors play into emotional state. What has it learned in its history? Everything like that comes in. It's not everything's going to come and see me as a puppy. So there's a massive picture here to look at. So we have to really get into that, and you have to get into that, and you have to acknowledge it. So you have this dog. So let's say I've got working cockers. You know, they are very popular breed over here. But depending which ones you've got, if you've got one that's full of, let's say, field trial, it's going to be a hard hunting machine. It's going to be fast. It's going to be drivey. It's going to be determined, you know. And it's also going to be heavily wired, because at the end of the day, they're bred to work. They're bred to be, they're used to being trained a lot, okay? And then the criteria is really strict. They're not just going to come in and get on the couch and go, yeah, I'll sleep after a walk. Mine are terrible. Like, you know, if I don't walk my gun dogs, but at the end of the day, I can't walk them every day. It's not good for them. They actually don't cope very well with it. And that's a massive thing to get into anyway. But you've got to look at the reality here. So let's get back to the training and the reality of it. So, like I said, you can't come in an hour session and go, right, well, I can work my dog in a field. Or, well, I'm gun dog training now. There's layers. All my clients know it. I bang on about them all the time, and it's layers after layers after layers after layers, from your foundations all the way up. Then you've got to put in the factor that dogs are not natural generalizers. So you might be learning in the living room, but it doesn't mean you can stick it in a field full of birds and whatever, and oh well, it does it in the living room. Hasn't built that into its picture. It hasn't learnt that skill. That's a very different criteria from a room that's got no distractions. And then we come into the reward system. Yeah, your reward system that might work, let's say they kibble at home. Is that going to cut it out there? Probably not. And this is the reality. You have to take everything on board and everything to account when it comes to training. So if I've learned something in the living room, I might move it into the garden, then I might move it into a neutral boring field somewhere, and then but my reward system will train. That's the reality of it. It's hard going. You can't, like I said, the expectations we look at this dog and go, well, it's going to do this, A, B and C, but the reality, it's hours. What you're seeing with us is hours of work. But that doesn't mean it's not possible in a pet home. It doesn't need to be like going out on an hour session every day. You can do these training through little snippets a day, little and often. I even call it kettle training. We all do, right? Stick the kettle on, do a little bit. I might do some bit of heel work, okay? Kettle's on. While the kettle's boiling, do it up and down the kitchen, up and down the garden. Right, heard kettle go, right, stop. Give the dog a break. Little things like that. Dinner time. So many people just feed the bowl. I'm not saying hand feed the whole bowl, because you don't have to, and I also don't like hand fed dogs all the time. I mean, I do it a lot when they're puppies, but that's more for bonding and then a little bit of training. But you don't have to do it all the time, but you can take a bit of that food out. Let's do some stuff. Yeah, so, but you have to put these little niggly bits in, and then you're going to get the challenges of these breeds. So here's another reality. It's like, well, I've trained A, B and C. Well, once their instincts kick in, the training is going to get fundamentally harder. That's the reality of it. You can't, because you also have to put them in that state. So what I mean by that state is, when I'm training that gun dog, let's say a chase recall. People say, I've trained a recall, so great. Okay. Can it chase off something? No. Well, one, I have to look at timing, and two, I have to put that dog in that predatory state of chase to teach it to come off that. It's not going to just come, well, let's learn a good recall. Not when it's got a rabbit flying in front of it, or a pheasant, and you've got high prey drive. And some of these breeds are mega prey drive, especially, like I said, the HBRs, pointers and the setters. Whoa, when they go and they're committed, and you go, I've got normal recall, and then you've got a bird in front of you, a rabbit's popped out. Has it been taught? So people go, I can't call it off that. So I do get a common one. I can't call it off birds. I can't call it off that. The dog hasn't learnt the skill. Right? So you've got to train that dog that skill. It's not, and it's feedback in your training. That's another thing. You need to read the dog. If something's going wrong out there, that bloody feedback. So I'm quite passionate about that. It's not gone wrong because it's ignoring you or it's being disobedient. All that's rubbish, right? That's a training error. Or you've pushed it too far. Yep, or your criteria or your expectations were up here, but the reality of the training of your dog on the level it is, it's here. Yep, so you've got to balance it. I always, if my dogs go wrong, it's feedback. I either pushed that too much, I didn't set it up right, there was something went wrong, or I need to go back a few stages on that and build that up. That's how the best way to look at it, because there's nothing worse than saying, well, It's not. Don't get me wrong, there will be times your dog feels it, but that could be also pressure. You have to take pressure, and dogs feel pressure. Okay, Barry. If things were getting hard, he'd go off and hard hunt or sniff too much or whatever. And people say, well, he's ignorant or he's ignoring you. Well, he's not. I'd probably go overcooked the egg here, pushed it too hard. And Barry's displacement behaviour is to go over and sniff. And that's where you've got to read it. You've got to make sure you try and win on as much success as possible. I know that's not always possible, but you have to try to finish on a success. Also playing after training. That's that latent learn, you know. So these are all things you have to take in consideration. And it's so I'm going to go to layers now. So let's talk about layers. So your dog won't be able to do, let's say, a blind retrieve from the minute it starts. I've never picked up a dummy. This is just not going to happen. Yeah. So this is what I mean. You have to start off very simple with things. Break things. Everybody knows it. I love breaking down things. Yeah. I like to break down everything I'm teaching that dog in from a flipping sit. Right, I'm not going to do a sit and say, right, you can sit here. I have to build in different layers. So let's say steadiness work. All right, I want to build in steadiness. Well, I've taught the dog sit. I can throw everything around it now. It'll sit. No, I break it down. Simple bit of movement, pay. Bit of movement, pay. And that's the reality. I have to take these layers. I start here and I build. There are going to be times where I have a dip. That is reality. Anything can happen in life, with the dogs or with you or whatever. Yeah. No journey is going to look like that. And it's for you'll have one hell of a dog and he'll be one of a trainer if you do. Bloody hell, I'd like to meet the trainer who has done it like that. Because I tell you what, I want to know your secret. Because the journey with a dog and the training will be always up and down. Because you've got from the puppy stage, which is so fundamentally important, so many things to be aware of, which will go in another video. Then you've got teenagers, hormones, things are going on. Your training ain't going to be smooth through that. Yeah. Don't think they got it there as a puppy. They have this little lull between it, and then the adolescence kicks in. You know, then it's on doing habits that you might not know, but there's so much. But you've got to enjoy it, and that's the biggest thing about this conversation is, I know I might be quite serious here and going on quite hard, but you've got to enjoy that journey with the dog. Because I think if you let go of your expectations, you'll actually probably get to what your original expectations were a lot faster than if you just take that pressure off yourself and enjoy the bloody dog. Because I do see people at times put too much pressure on the dog and the dog just crumbles. Yeah, or they haven't got it right now. And you know, they're living creatures at the end of the day. They're not robots. You know, everything they're learning is a skill that we are teaching, and as teachers we need to give them the best way they learn in the best manner. Like Barry wasn't easy. Barry was so challenging. Like, he wasn't foodie, he was very rarely toy motivated, not right ball. But again, when the real environment kicked in, I had to train him with the environment, but I had to strip him back and go right back, because my expectations of him, because of his breed and the intelligence, this is gonna be, you know, nice journey, pretty simple. No, not when the birds got involved, not when all that got involved. You know, there was things I had to really strip back and teach him skills he hadn't learned, which I stupidly thought he had, and he hadn't. And I stripped him back, I worked on him, and it was hard graft. Like I said, he was very environment. Even simple things like heel with. If you heel with me, you'll get some hunting, or if you do this, you'll get some hunting, because hunting was his driving force, especially in them triggering. But he had to work for them, and I taught him he has to do things before he got them. So, like I said, it's these are the things you need to be aware of. And like I said, look at your dog's breed. Read the history. Don't just read the now. Oh, it's even before you pick it. Oh, it's active. That'll do. Respect that dog. Respect that breed, and bloody well look into the history of it. Look into what it was bred for. Because if you fight that dog for what it's bred for, you'll have a nightmare. I don't fight my guys. Yeah. And I've got cockers, and I got even terriers I have, right? I love my terriers. I don't fight that. I go with it. So if they like ragging things, killing things, go on, grab onto that, rag that, kill that. And I use that in their training. Not so much now. They're a lot older. They don't need it now. 14 and 13. But My spaniels, I don't deny them hunting, but I hunt with them. There's a difference. I don't free rein hunt them. They don't go off hunting free rein. I hunt with them as a partnership, but they still get an outlet of what they're bred to do. Yeah, I know I work mine, but they're bred to do it. Okay, so they are doing exactly what they are bred to do. But even if I didn't, I know I'd have skills. If I couldn't go on a shoot, let's say one day, or whatever happened, I still have the skills to give that dog what it's an outlet to bred to do, and the hours that they need, because you also have to expect they're working dogs. Gun dogs are working dogs. Now, I'm not saying you have to hammer them all day, because that doesn't help. You know, they have to learn to switch off, which we'll talk about through the course of videos. I teach them that skill, but I also give them enough where they find the switching off easy, because they're getting what they're bred to do. They're getting an outlet. They're getting something for it. Yeah. Check my notes. Yeah, so in your training, be honest. Be honest with yourself. And even when you're picking a dog or whatever, or you've got one and you want to take this journey. If I just want to do Gundog training, like I said, I don't have to be on a shoe. I just want to enjoy my dog. But and imagine you are someone who is quite perfectionist. You've still got to take that pressure off that dog and enjoy it. Bloody well enjoy it, because it's one hell of a journey. When you get them dogs to the level that your expectations are. But if you do that in that way, where you just enjoy the moment, your relationship will be, one, the better for it. Two, you'll get to it easier because you're more relaxed with it. I teach all my clients, shout out to It's Feedback Georgia, so they never feel like they're going wrong. They just know it's feedback and training, and for that they learn so much nicer and they have a better relationship with the dog, not going at the dog. It's like my little one, he's 11 months now. Now I want to trial him, but I'm not going to put him in this season, because I don't think, one, I'll be ready, two, he's not ready for me. I don't want to push him that fast, so I'll be looking at the following season. I want to enjoy the training journey. I don't want to put that pressure on him. I'm not in a rush to get my dog to a trial. I want to do the journey properly and try and do my training as properly as I can for Sid. I don't want to detriment my relationship with my dog because of also the trialing. Let's face it, it's my goals. Even though he's that type of dog who's bred for trialing, it's still my goals. So I want him to enjoy the journey of, let's face it, all of our goals in the same way that I do. And by putting too much pressure on little man, and my reality that this journey's not going to be straightforward. I've already had the odd challenges here and there with him, which actually was feedback on my training on a couple of things that I reflected on, because reflection is a beautiful thing. My reality is I have to take my time. He's a young dog still. He's in adolescence. Even though he's not that bad, he's in adolescence and it could still come. So my reality is I also expect, so at this stage, the expectations are I don't push too hard. I make sure I keep him contained a little bit, so he's not exposed to everything where he can go wrong and I just don't watch or observe him or give him too much free rein. I work with him through this stage until he matures, that he can take him more. So you see what I mean? I know my reality. I don't put, oh my God, I'm going to handle him and I can do all this A, B and C. 11 months old, that's not reality. That's my expectations. But my expectations I lower. Because I can move them up as he matures, as he develops through his training. And I looked at him and, his lines. I was very fortunate to find him, and a cracking and amazing breeder who I'm still in contact with now. I couldn't, who's absolutely fabulous. And who does the same as what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, take that journey with that dog, enjoy it, and like I said, go and study your dog, whether you're buying one or you've got a breed. And even when you've got a breed, it might be 4 or 5 or a rescue or whatever, do the honour and research it. And if you, like I said, even when it comes to rescues, you've got to unwind a load of years of history there of what they might have learnt with previous owners or whatever their background is. So you have to respect that as well. Reality, especially in rescues, is expectations in reality is huge. With rescues, because people, oh, I've saved the dog or whatever they say. People, I've got rescued the dog, I've got this, I'll bring it in, it'll just sit in the house. well, I've worked in rescue, and there's some complex characters out there, and you have to be very patient and very kind and very understanding, and also give that time dog to settle. Again, that's reality. Ain't gonna just come in and just go, yeah, I can go for a walk, let me off lead and we'll be mates for life. I'd say 99% won't do that. Reality is you have to put the time in, bonding with that dog, settling that dog, giving that dog time to adjust to the new living, a new way. Stress levels needs to come down, all this. And it's reality. Let go of the expectations and live in the moment with the dog. So that's what this episode's really about, is go and learn and understand your gun dog. I'm not saying you can't have expectations and goals and stuff like that, but be in the moment with that dog. Learn that dog. Learn everything about you, that dog. Learn to read it. Learn to go to people that understand dogs as well and know how to read them when they're in the moment of pressures or anything like that. Learning skills, building the layers. Go to somebody who can plan your training for you, who can build you up. Because my lot don't care where you've been. They all know it. I've never met you before and you stand in my field, I'll go right back to basics with you. Unless you can really show me your basics are solid, your foundations, we're starting again. Because I need to build the layers with you. Because I will not go from A to Z. No way. I'm horrendous for it. I am probably, what I want to say, 101 boring stuff. I love detail. Detail is important because the detail matters to the dog. Matters to you. Muscle memory. The lot. Whatever. Go on. Because it's a long video, this, bless it. But, yeah. Be in the moment with your dog. Enjoy it. Go and understand it. Research it if you haven't got a gun dog breed but you'd like. Really research it. Go and speak to people who specialise in the breed. Understand the breed. Work the breed. You know. Ask the breeder, really, is this suitable for my house? You know, a good breeder won't put it in a home that is not suitable for what you're going to give it. And be honest of what you can manage. Look at your lifestyle. In reality, look at your lifestyle. Will this breed suit me? Is this what I want? Okay. Thank you for tuning in. And like I said, I do apologise for having a late episode out. It's a long one, so it's up to you if you want to listen to it over time. But I had a few things I got to talk about. So I hope you enjoy it, and it's a lovely day today, people. Go and enjoy it. Cheers. Thank you.